two rolling. Camera three rolling. 3, 2. Hello once again and welcome to African Stars Club Legends. We are joined by none other than Doc Naube, former captain of African Stars. He steered African Stars to 2 consecutive Mainstay Cup finals in 1980 and 1981. He enjoyed so much success with African Stars. He was among the first group of players that were selected to represent South Africa in the South African Provincial Currie Cup tournament in 1977 during the maiden edition of mixed race football in apartheid South Africa. Doc, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Doc, we are here to talk a little bit about your stay with African Stars and your football career from where it started and so on. Luckily, the two of us come from the same town, the garden town of Garanja. I've watched you as a kid and played against you during your time at Spoilers. You're probably one of the best players to have ever come out of the garden town. So can you just walk us a little bit down memory lane about your football career?
Carlos, it's a big story, that one. I don't know where to start if I would be taking you back on a history line. However, you see, when I hooked up with soccer, I was on a farm. And then my brothers, elder brothers, during a holiday came with a soccer ball and we had a nice playing. I think from that moment, I think it caught with me, the football. But I was still on the farm and they went back and in 3 months' time, I've mastered a lot of things on my own. And when they came back, I was the one that was leading them. So that's where I hooked up. So, and then I went to the school in Okahanja. When I came there, I also played with the big guys in the school grounds where we were playing, because that's where we were grooming the players. And big guys, they would bully you and whatever, but actually that's where you learn. Street football, it's where you learn the tricks and the trait of the football, being awareness, where the ball is going, what is it doing, and so forth. And then basically from there, my friend, most of Epson, he's the one who introduced me to Spoilers, because we were playing young football, and he said, but now, man, we are big enough, man, we can play in the team. But he's older than me, but he wanted me to usher him in.
He was a very good forwarder.
Yeah. And then he said, basically, man, let's go and play. We cannot just play for the second division and whatever. And then we forced ourselves in the team, some Spoilers.
You went to MLH, and I remember during the time when you came back with Jefta, you played for Spoilers. And you were a total different player. You were different from all the other players, your vision and the way you played football. And I remember at some stage you went to Germany. But when you came back from Germany, you brought a different dimension to the game. What did you learn in Germany?
Well, it is the other way around, Carlos. I first went to Germany in 1968. 69, I was, for the whole year I was in Germany, but it was not like a football business.
You went for music.
Music. So the whole year I was in Germany, and there I was exposed to the German football. We were watching on the television. Sometimes we would go to the stadium and watch how they're playing. But it's shortly after 1966, which was the World Cup in England. So many of the recaps were on the television about Pelés, Eusebius, and whatever. So that caught my interest very well. And basically, we were not, however, while we were not playing the football there in Germany, it inspired me. When we came back in 1970, I went to the secondary school in Karibia, so which is also a Yemen-based type of arrangement. And we had a PT lecturer there, or the teacher, who was a German guy. A straightforward, simple guy that was just having one vision for a football. The football is played from center to the corners and over the air, and then you must come in and hit a goal. So that was the simple football that he was teaching us, not the dribblings and the TikTok passings and whatever.
Back
Get the
heels
ball-
and those things.
no back heels and those things. Get the ball in the center, get it out of the wings, get it over in front of the goal, and 5 or 6 guys must come in, and one of them must hit the ball. So that was a simple football that he was teaching us. But sports was something that was in me. So I would train a lot at Mother Luther. I would train a lot. And that's how, when I came back from Mother Luther, fitness and a little bit more knowledge of football, I could fit in and dictate what was going on.
Talking about wing play, you obviously had a lot of great matches. I barely see you having an off day. But there's one particular match that I remember very well. You played Sparta in Walvis Bay. At the time, Sparta, they were very hot. They were beating teams left, right, and center. That day you were on song. You were playing on the right wing. You remember that match against Sparta at their field? I think it was 1978 or something like that.
That was for African Stars.
Yes, with African Stars.
You see, when I joined African
We
Stars,
won 5-3.
when I joined African Stars, almost for a year, I didn't have a space in the team because it was star-studded. And as such, you see, you will fit in where they would put you in. Especially also when I came to Mother Luther, I was picked in the fullback, as we were calling those days. Like, 2 fullbacks, I was one of them in the back because of my size and fitness. So that's where the people. But in 3 months' time, I got to gain fitness and ball control, and I just said, no, I'm not going to play here. And I went flat. When they said, play there in the African Stars, I would gladly go up and play. So in order to impress, you see, that's where you are basically saying, this is my opportunity. Whether it's my left position or the right position or the center forward or wherever. Those days, if you get an opportunity in the African Stars, you must prove. And that is what the opportunity I was having that time. That's why I was saying, now I must at least deliver, so that when I go back, at least I must come into that team. Because the position I was playing for African Stars as a player, a great player was playing there. Geiger was playing there, for them, as a captain also. So for me to come in from Okahanja and measure into that position, it was very difficult. So if a position is up out front, wherever, I will pop in. And even also in my making, if I go to a town like Keetmanshoop or wherever, if the people are saying, oh, he's Doc now, but he must play for us, you must help us, then they will say, you must play center forward. I will ask him, where is your weak point? We don't have a left wing. I will say, I'll play left wing. Let your best person play in the position that he is playing usually. Let me cover the other positions that are weak, because now you put me in a position, that person cannot play the other position. Now we are weak, double weak. So that's how I basically learned my football on various positions.
Now, talking about that match in Walvis Bay, you brought a new dimension into wing play. I mean, a lot of wingers, they used to cross the ball, go down the line and hit the ball hard. But you brought the style of just squaring the ball. You pull the ball back to the midfielders. It's something that we never saw before. You brought this thing into the game.
Carlos, my usual position at school was a center forward. So now you are playing with people that are coming from that school that will bring the ball in for you, either on the air or on the ground. Sometimes you play in another team and you play that position and you are staff. Basically, you are staff if you play with other people. You play, let me just mention a name, a person like Kabushi. Very strong player. But when he's having his ball on the left wing, he'll go for the goal. The center forward is zero. So basically, those are the things when you play in another team on a center forward position, you are staff. Because the guys that are on the wings are very strong and they go for goals. Now, being a center forward playing now on the right, on the wing, I would say now I must support that situation. And this is how I was really trying to do it. Say, no, you are out here, your thing is to support. Your thing is to support.
Now, Doc, you played for a very long time for African Stars. Having played for clubs like Spoilers, Battle Boys, Okahanja Mannschaft, Ramblers Katutura, DTS,
Arrows.
yes. Now, how was the atmosphere within African Stars camp? Obviously, I know, I also experienced the same feeling as the majority of players came from Okahanja. So what was the kind of a cultural differences like? I mean, it looks like you are a happy bunch of players together.
You see, playing for African Stars, deciding to join African Stars was not a big problem for me from Okahanja's side, but it was a problem in Windhoek. Windhoek was a place that was racially
Too tribalistic, ethnic attachments, yeah.
And those days, we had a very nasty welcoming from the spectators when we were playing for African Stars. But the camp, the players, most
I remember you were called all sort of names like DTAs and all these things.
Many names. I don't want to repeat those type of names, but it's coming from my people were calling us those type of names. But nevertheless, it was not, you see, coming from Martin Luther High School, where we were not having these things, coming from Okahanja,
yes.
where we were not having this type of, knowing all the players in the team, the spirit was actually accommodated from the player side. You could talk to anyone, everyone. There were some players that you obviously wouldn't know, like Jiva or Kiri or guys that were from the...
They were not from Okahanja.
Yes. But they were also eager to play. They were eager to play and will accommodate you in that context. So from the word go, you were just rebellious. You could say anything to them. They could say anything to you. And that is basically that bind us together quickly in the team. However, on the field of play, it will be difficult because then you must select 11 guys. 11 guys that are good. And if you are not good...
The best, yeah.
Yeah, the best. If you are not good, you will sit on the bench. And those days, replacements were just few.
Only in case of injuries.
Case of injuries and whatever. So it might be that the whole month you will be on the bench if you are not strong enough. When I came, almost for a year, as I've said, I was on the bench. I was on the verge of saying, no, man, I'm not playing football. I must make a plan. Maybe go to another team or whatever, because I used to play for Ramblers Katutura. So I was contemplating to say, man, maybe I must go back. But then always I said, but then I am a failure. I am a failure if I do that. And I said, no, that cannot be. And I said, but what are these guys doing that keep them on the field? And I watched them. Training was like a match for those guys. How you bully yourself into the guys, how you keep the ball, how you are fast on the ball, how you get on the positions. Basically, that's how I learned it and said, okay, this is what you are doing. And that's where I basically said, I'll fit into this team. Now,
you were among the very first black players who were selected to represent South Africa in the interprovincials of South African Currie Cup. And then you also played for Okahanja Mannschaft, which was predominantly a white team, and then DTS. How was the integration like, the racial integration between the blacks and white players? Cultural differences and all these kind of things.
You see, the Okahanja Mannschaft was not actually a team that was in Okahanja already. They had the Okahanja football team, which basically did not have the players. Most of the players, the white players, were farmers. If they are not farmers, they were somewhere else or whatever. So there would be maybe 5, 6 players that were there. And when the idea of playing in the league came, that's when the guys talk about, let us bring these players together so that we are having a team in Okahanja.
A decent team, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why the name was just a Mannschaft. That's the Mannschaft. And not the spoilers or black beauties or
Or Magic Tigers or Battle Boys or whatever. Yeah.
No, whoever was good was was welcomed into that team. So the first, basically, all of the guys were young guys that were playing. Those who didn't play, who have issues, they were not playing. They were not playing. They moved away. I can mention a name like Shorty.
Shorty Da Costa. Da Costa, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want to play.
He was not exactly a very good player anyway.
Yeah, but he was a maintainer of the systems and whatever, but he was not a very good player. But he was persistent when he came from, I think, Angola or whatever. He was a good player. He was making things happening.
He came from Mozambique.
Yeah, I don't know, Mozambique or wherever, we just call him from Angola. And then some of the guys were siding with him and they were not playing with us. But they were young guys, especially the Rapmund brothers.
Yeah.
Rapmund brothers that we also used to play in the DDS together.
I know that.
And Rapmund and even the father invite us into his house and say, "This is my team. Manshak is my team." He is the one who sponsored me on that trip to
South Africa.
South Africa, saying from the first time that Namibia is electing a team in a black guy, I will support you. And they gave me whatever money that was needed to go to South Africa on that trip.
And then you became captain of African Stars, probably one of the most successful captains ever in the history of African Stars. Can you tell us a little bit, what was the secret behind the success of African Stars? I mean, you led that team to various victories, and the team was really playing some good football.
Carlos, the first thing for a captain is discipline. If you are ill-disciplined, your players will be ill-disciplined. As a captain, you must show some examples of being a good captain, good person on the field. People must be able to trust you. So I thought firstly when the guys say we are selecting you as a captain, I thought this is a joke. And then Oscar said, "Welcome, you are a captain," and give me a tap. So I didn't know, but it's something that maybe they have discussed and say, "Let us do this." And then I said, "No, now I must show as a captain, I must be a front runner.
You must lead by example."
I must lead by example. And mind you, we had good players. And also during that time, we had a very young good players coming into it that were just destroying the teams up front. The Jukus, Jacksons, a couple of other guys, the names I cannot call the names now, but good young guys came in during that time. But we had a very good, stable defense line. In the goals, we had Jiva, very reliable goalkeeper.
George Karisep,
Albert Chihero, Merino, Kiri, very strong, reliable guys that were defending. So Willie Rita. So we had a strong defense line, and basically the changes mostly were up front, where you were making the changes. You yourself were the one that was coming into there and make the differences when we lock up. You will come in and say, make a difference, make a run and have a bullet on the goal and whatever. We had also the very short time when I was captain, the guy from Congo.
Oh, Zenga, Dodo.
Dodo Zenga.
Yeah, Zenga Dodo, yeah.
We had the
Americo de Almeida and Zenga Balinga.
Those were the guys that were making the differences with the ball, on the ball, basically. While people are concentrating here, when they are getting the ball, they will make the differences and such. So we had a very good, strong establishment in
foundation,
place.
Yeah. Now, you after retiring, I mean, you came a long way with football. You were the first president of the Namibian Football Association, and you went to serve on various committees. You have done so much for Namibian football. Can you just tell us how was it like? I mean, driving Namibia into integration of international football. What was the challenges?
I think that was a big challenge. Firstly, there was no constitution. I tried to put together something based on the FIFA guidelines. The biggest challenge was to mold the different leagues that were there into one league. The challenge was how many teams can we have in the Premier League? 24 was a number that was mentioned, 22. My idea was basically 12 teams in the Premier League. That was it. Now, obviously, as a leader and knowing the demand from people, I would go low so that the people can come, so that we meet halfway. So molding these different entities that were there, not the players, the entities that were there, the white football, the Kadutura football, the Walvis Bay football, the different football associations or the federations that were there together. That was a big challenge. Especially, you would recall when we had the interim committee with the independence, and John Mosono offered to be here on his own cause and to grace the occasion. Some said he's not going to play, he must play.
With Franz Beckenbauer as well? Rummenigge, and Camacho.
Camacho from Spain.
Yes.
Yeah. And when we said, okay, let us do two teams, which is the national team,
national team,
and an invitational side, so that we can have an invitational side that will play either way. And Jomo offered to be here, and I think the crowd loved him to see him. What he was
I
doing.
remember the match was probably 10 minutes old when the crowd was chanting for him. He was on the bench.
Yeah.
They have to bring him on.
Yeah. So
and he scored a beauty of a free.
He scored a beauty of for the occasion that was there. So bringing together those entities, the entities of the various, that was a problem. That was a big problem. However, we managed to have a 16-team league, and we started off with that one, and we moved from there.
Coming back to African Stars, you played with so many great players. Which players really do you think were exceptional?
Carlos, you see, an exceptional player would be, if I can mention in his own, is Jiva, because there was no match for him. No match for him.
For me, he was the best goalkeeper I have ever seen in Namibian football.
So you will have that. The others, you can, if you are saying, you will have another player there. If you say Kabushi, you will have another player there that is having a different style of play. If you say Doc now, you will have another player that is having a different flavor of play. So for me, being that person playing in that position and keeping clean sheets that he was doing, I would say he's the one that, in my time, he was the one that I can say he's the exceptional player. The rest of the players, they were good. They were good. The George Curry's Kiri would be playing left back, in the middle, center back. You can put them everywhere, you see. So they were good players that were there. The silent person, Karincha, very good player. He's not talking anything, but you will work your.
He does his job on the field.
He does his job on the field. He will get the ball from you, either way or whatever. He'll get the ball from you. So many players, basically, the team was exceptionally good, gifted with talent. But obviously, if you take a second goalkeeper to Jiva, it will always be below standard.
Yes.
Those days.
What was the influence of Oscar Mengo as a chief conductor in the middle of the park? And having just come back from South Africa, played for Kaizer Chiefs, what was his, what type of player would you, how would you describe him?
I think I came into being an African Stars when there was a trip to Zimbabwe, or where was it?
Zimbabwe, they went with Flames to Rhodesia.
Yeah. And
they were suspended.
They were suspended. And the African Stars had a shortage of players. Yeah. And that's, I think, that's where the drive came, that I must be also coming in. But Oscar is one of the players that I know could not take losing. So he will run his legs off in order to win. He will do everything that he can do on the field for that 90 minutes in order to win. That is the kind of Oscar. He's one of those exceptional players. One of those exceptional players, because you're not going to get another Oscar Mengo in the context that we are having. A very good player, ball dribbler, visionary on the field. He'll make plans. Whilst you guys are playing there, he'll make plans. However, he was also a person that was driving the team off the field. He's the one who was making the moves for the team off the field. So he was a great influencer, good player, organized things. If you think what, all of a sudden we find ourselves in Kimberley. I don't know from where he got that idea. We were in Kimberley playing football there.
I remember that trip with Bobby Sissing as well.
Yes.
Bobby was also.
So you guys are planning things around here. You think that this is Oscar's idea is already somewhere else. You think African Stars does not have players. Here comes Tonji Majid and the other colleague, bomb in the team. So whilst the things are happening, you will move on to see what can he do for the team's improvement.
1985, 8 of the country's top teams decided to break away from SWAFA and form the NSSL. I'm sure you were part of that setup. What were the challenges? I mean, because I remember authorities denying the clubs facilities in Hovis Bay and in Windhoek, and they could also not represent South West Africa in the Impala Cup because apparently they were the rebel kind of league. So what were the challenges?
I think 1985, I don't think I was playing football.
Yeah, you stopped in 84.
I stopped in 92.
83,
92, 83, 82, I stopped playing.
You didn't play in the Men's Cup final in 1984.
Yeah, no.
You didn't play, yeah.
What was happening is basically in those days, the guys, we formed a league that was organized combinedly with whites. And whilst these things are going on, those teams that you are mentioning said, no, we're not going to play into this team. The biggest idea was the money issue.
Gate takings. Yeah.
Gate takings. We are the ones that are bringing the crowd. Those teams are not bringing the crowd. How can we be together?
How can it benefit you?
How can we? So even if we go and play on their grounds, our supporters are coming. Yeah. They're getting, so basically that notion of we are feeding the existing situation with this was the drive. And we did the two type of strong arrangements. I was not part of the breakaway system. So whilst I was we had a Central Football
Association, CFA.
Which I was also chairman once, and so forth. So whilst I was not playing, I started playing the casual football with GDS. So that's how I landed in this, just to play because it was casual arrangement. So it was almost like breaking down the football into two
sections or whatever. Yeah.
Luckily, in the 2-3 years' time, the independence came and brought us together again. Otherwise, we would have had those two strong situations in football further afield.
Now, I mean, we all understand that football dynamics have changed quite a lot. And in comparing football from the previous year during your playing time, and I'm sure that now and then you go and watch the odd game or so. What is the difference? Where do you see the difference between, because a lot of things have changed, I mean, diet and the techniques, a lot of things. But in terms of quality, what is the impression of the current crop of players?
Current crop of players are very young. They come in very young. Does not have experience of playing football on the streets or in the schools. If you take the school sports today, In the year, maybe they are playing 4 or 5 games, if not less. I'm just talking the Agustino. They might be playing 3 or 4 games. Those years, you will be playing at least 8 games for a high school. Now, a young player playing this small football because playing fields available in the areas where they are playing, staying, is non-existent. If you take, for instance, in Okahanja, you would go on the main field and play in the afternoon or whatever. If that is not in the location somewhere, there's an open space where you will have a match or whatever from that section and this section. We used to play a Damaranama type of soccer in Okahanja. You go to that side and you play that match there. The other day, you guys are coming. Other day, you guys are playing against the Colours. We had those type of things because that's where you are learning. So today's young players, firstly, there is no field of practicing for them because they must be paid when they go practice. So maybe 10 games that this guy is having. Good player. Now he comes to African Stars to play for African Stars. So basically, quality-wise, this person must learn football in the first division of the Premier League. And that is the lack that you see when you go to the field. You see, this is a good player, but he lacks purely, not only experience, he lacks talent. His own talent, he lacks his own talent. He's not improving his own talent. He's not strong enough in the legs. He's a youngster. He's maybe 19, 18 years old, but if you see him, he looks like a boss on the field. So when he's boss on the field, there's no discipline in the player. When I'm hearing sometimes from the people, when you replace them, you must now please him. When he's on the bench, you must please him. When you take the players to a game, you must please them. So today's games for players, it's more pleasing games from the management. That's how I see it. I don't know what the managers are saying. It's more pleasing the player in order to perform. Those years you had a love for the game and for the team. If these things are not there, basically, you're not part of it. If you love the game, you will play for any team without any problem. If you love the team, then you will come back to your team and you will play there. Because that is what we are doing. Today, my love for Spoilers is still there. It's still there, but I cannot play football, unfortunately. My love for African Stars is there. Because that love must be there from the players. Now, today's players, the love is maybe money, maybe how they are.
There's no loyalty anymore.
There's no loyalty. I don't have. You see, when you are loyal to yourself, you need to develop yourself and say, I would be one day. Let me just go outside and be a Messi in Namibia, and therefore I'm working. You would see when you are having a tournament those years, you will see the Umatis brothers on the road, not with the team. You will see Fosi running his kilometers or whatever. You will see African Stars in camp. They will see them running from Lions Motors to wherever.
It was a long stretch.
You understand? That discipline to get yourself ready. And if you miss the Lions Motors, you know that basically
You're not going to play. You're not going to play.
you will be on the bench. You will be on the bench. So these are the things that we're having. But after Chedugo, may his soul rest in peace. Was not a good runner, long distance, but he will come. But you need him on the field.
He was very lazy when it comes to running long
Yes,
distance.
very lazy, but he will come and he will do. But when it's a speed game on the running, he was the first. And on the field, he will show you what he can do. So those are the things that were happening that you will have a team. Maybe the training methods were not there. They were maybe just this type of training methods, but it kept the players very fit and kept them for 90 minutes on the field.
Now, Doc, almost more than 3 decades of independence. We still don't have a professional league in Namibia. and we've been surpassed by countries like Botswana. The majority of our players are now playing in the Botswana League. And if you look at the South African League, the best players there are Namibians, Shalulile, Anamo, Otto, you name them. And over the years, I think we have the talent. What will you say, what should be done to get our league to that level of fully professionalism?
Carlos, there are two things that are, or let me just say first the one thing. Money is the issue. Those places you have mentioned are having the means of money. I don't know how they have gone that they are having the money. South Africa, we know they are sitting on the multiple internationals and whatever, and that can sponsor them the way they are sponsoring. Namibia is a small country with the economy that we are having. The type of money that players could be demanding because they are playing for, say, national team, they are comparing themselves with whoever is somewhere playing for South Africa. These guys, for camping, they're getting this, they're getting it. Now, we must give them the same type of treatment. But you don't understand that maybe your standard, even if, without prejudice, I'm just mentioning names. Shalulile is a very good player. You must pay him what he's maybe getting on that side when he's this side. But now we are taking a player ABC from chess. And now you put him in. The standard of player for Shalulile and standard of playing for this player in the national team is not the same. But now they must earn the same money. And if not, then there is a problem. Now that mind basically is the one that is killing us. Money is the one that is killing. Now how do we go about to make money into it? I think it's a very long story. It's somewhere that we must go and say, maybe we must make a sports foundation whereby people must invest money, because there are a lot of companies that are putting in money that are saying to there and there. We know from the previous line of putting in money, people who are having businesses were the white people. They will be putting money into rugby. Rugby now is dominated by other people. Rugby does not have money. Who is not putting in? The person that is having the business is not putting in the money. So the sport itself is not in a position to generate the resources that we are saying that they need. There's no way that you will have a sport that will generate the resources that the players need in order to compete with the other side that they are getting. When you pay the national team, I'm just talking about the national team players. When you pay a national team player $100, you must pay the ladies $100. In order to be equal in pay level. So if you don't do that, it's a problem. It's a problem. Those people who have a problem, they don't want to play because they are not being treated equal. So that equal is
Where
a
to find the balance there?
Yeah, with your performance and what you are putting in and what you are getting, it's very difficult. You get equal play, but you don't put in equal. That is the biggest problem. I think there is a way that one can sit down and say, what can we do in order to get the money in the sports so that we can pay the players what they want? Because players today are not in the teams that we think where they are. Maybe they are outside where the second divisions are playing. But are they getting enough exposure on the field where they are? If we take back, many players were coming from outside for the big teams. You can name them for the big teams. They are not from the Central. They are not from Keetmanshoop. They are not from Walvis Bay. It's mostly the imports that were coming in from other places that were the good players there. Now, the players are basically outside there. Now, how do you maintain the systems there? Because that is the system that must be maintained so that it can produce, because that's the judge of fabric. If that fabric is not manufacturing the players, you cannot have the good thing. Now, all of them, if they are having a good 2 shots or whatever, they want to come to Windhoek. They want to come and play somewhere here and end up in maybe a losing streak because he cannot be supported. He's not having a place to stay. Money is not coming because the pay is not there. What? Now he thinks, I'm lost here. I will be. So many talent because of the money issue are being lost in that regard. I think if we sit down and look for money, how can we get the money? And create a sports foundation and put in money. All these investors that are around here, all the companies that are around here, if you can sell a national idea to them and say, we need to develop a sport in order to alleviate unemployment. Because when you are having a good sports programs, you will have people that are working for them. I don't know even today, African Stars, how many people are working for African Stars on someone's cost, but not generating the resources. African Stars is not generating the resources that it needs to resource the players or maintain the system of African Stars. Now, if there is a pot which will say we are having these things so that when African Stars is playing in the Premier League, you get the resources. You know what they are doing in England? When you are promoted to the higher division, you get a chunk of money in order to maintain yourself into the system. Here you are from Epukiro, you are promoted to the Premier League, you come as you are. You come here and you compete with African Stars that is established into this system, and you are competing. 2-3 games you are bombasting African Stars, and then you are missing. You don't turn up for the match in Keetmanshoop. You don't turn up for the game in Okahanja. Because of resources. And that is the big problem that we are sitting with. If we can address the issue of the resources, I'm not saying everybody must get the millions that is there, but at least a standard type of resourcing so that the Football Association can say, I'm in charge of these things.
Talking about resources and money, there is this Stone Age culture of community clubs. Now, if one has to look back, most of the successful teams are clubs that are owned or that have been taken over by people with deep pockets. And look at Black Africa today. Same is happening to Orlando Pirates. These are big clubs, and it's very painful when you watch them going the way things are going now. 11 Arrows have been relegated. They won the league, I think, in 1991, or if I'm not mistaken, one of the top clubs. So what will you say for the club to be sustainable? I think the culture, this old Stone Age culture of community clubs, the community have a say, but they don't put money into the clubs.
It's a sad story that you're picturing there, but I think it also stems from the money issue. You get in someone that is having resources today that cannot sustain those resources. You mentioned Orlando Pirates, it's the same story. You mentioned BA, it's the same story.
11 Arrows.
11 Arrows, same story. Someone with a big bag of money comes in and says, now I'm in charge, I will get what. And that bag of money
dry up.
And then you have created something here that you cannot maintain.
Expectations.
You see, when you are advising people, they don't listen to you. I've witnessed the building up of GDS. I've witnessed the building up of Ramlespoort. I was the president when BA wanted to build a stadium. I said, Joseph Martin.
In Soweto.
Joseph Martin was running around. I said, Joseph Martin, please don't go or don't move on with this project, stadium. Try and get yourself a training field, which you can build up to whatever. Because the playing fields for competitions, it's not a problem. Now you want to build a stadium which you cannot maintain. Because because you are having problems with the team already. Now you want to Get a place where you can have
It becomes a
coming
liability.
together, because you are having a good team. When the team is winning, you come together. That is where you are grooming the team's existence. Abasep was the chairperson. He went and conveyed the message. He was swearing at me. What the hell does he think? That Herero boy or whatever. What is it telling us to do these things? However, what happened to that place today? Someone else's place. Tiger's place. What happened to that? Because we want to build a stadium. Where is the Real Madrid playing? Where is Real Madrid? It's a municipal arrangement. Where is Bayern Munich playing? They don't own these things. They play there.
Same with Chelsea.
Chelsea, they play at the stadium that exists for them having rights to do those things. Now, we're having 8 teams in the Central that can play at the Independence Stadium or the Semlinga Stadium. That is other people's. Now you want to build a stadium because you see those things. And that is the mentality that we are sitting with. We want to emulate what the others are doing without knowing what the cost, what the real cost,
the consequences.
Yeah. So I'm very much sorry for what is happening. As I'm saying, I've got a big issue that the historically all teams are dying in this way. We can go back and say, Hungry Lions, where is it? You can go back, Young Ones. Yeah. You can go back and say,
Surrender Bucks.
All those Robert Chandis, Rangers from Tune. Maybe they are still there.
Chelsea.
Great teams. Yeah. And it's because of these things that we don't build something that is there for the team. We just go into the car, go play, and then we come back, oh, we've won, and then end of the story. We don't build the things. Not building is a problem. We must build it. Get a place where you can say, this is where we must at least train, or this is the place where we come together when we are happy. When we are sad, we come here because we have lost someone, or we have someone is sick, one of our players. We don't go to a street and say, what. We say, come together at our place where we are coming together, and that's how you build it from there. Small. One of the best services today is the DTS field. The playing field. It's one of the best playing fields. I have not seen for a couple of months SKW, because that was one of the
best. One of the best.
The surface, and it's small building with other entities that are making the money for you for that type of arrangement. We are basically having a football, netball at the most. If you are adding something, we don't even have other things that are coming. It's just football, and netball that we are talking about. Netball in clubs, I don't know whether it exists. Maybe it's other entities to do nowadays. African Stars was having a good netball team. BA was a strong netball. Tigers was
Orlando Pirates.
Orlando Pirates was having strong netball teams. They are not there.
Now, back in the day, most of the teams had second teams, which served as fitters, even for some injured players when they're recovering. To come back, they start playing in the second team, and then that thing is gone now. There's with the emergence of youth academies. Now there are hopelessly too many youth academies, and you don't really know where these players are placed or where they're going to after graduating from these academies. What is your take on that?
I don't know. You see, if one would be reading the constitution of the academies, or the aims and objectives of the academies, then one can comment much better. For me personally, right now, it's someone's business, and it ends there. I bring my child there. He's running for the year. I pay, and it's end of the year. I can say, no, man, I'm not happy. And I can stay away. I don't know whether there is a progression report or wish from the. No, Carlos, you cannot take out your child because now we are here. We will be moving now from here to there. I don't know whether they are having this type of things. I'm just hearing academy. I'm hearing Bob Sol. I'm hearing those things. It's entities within the big frame of football which is not existing. I'm saying it's not existing. Players, if you take it from because it's coming from foreign, if you take it the Academy of Manchester United, Liverpool, it's a system within the bigger system. Like, you won't hear unless you go in and find out. Ryan Giggs is a product of the academy. Beckham is a product of the academy. 9 years old, 6 years old, because there's a progression to the. Now, where do these guys? Where do they aim? Maybe one day own the guy and say, "I'm selling you to Botswana or Angola or whatever," and make the money or whatever. But these things, because you cannot have a system outside the existing system. Football is the one umbrella thing under which things must happen. I'll register my academy, but where does it link from there? Exactly. Where does it link from there?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now it's from there. It's just individuals that are linked to the teams. Now African Stars must come and at that academy look for a player and say, "Oh, this player. Now we cannot afford. He's good, but we cannot afford him because now you are charging him. You're charging him to. For me, Spoilers did not ask any money for me to play for African Stars. I just said, okay, now I'm playing there, and boom, that was it. And the people were saying, as long as you are happy, go play. Now, today, a talent that we want here, which because we don't have a system that we can also mature this talent we cannot get you in. But if that academy is within that structure, we can get him in. So that he can say, okay, now I'm in the academy C, this next year I'll maybe in a B, and then I'll go to A, and then I can mature to the top side. It's not there. And that, for me, it's that person's business today.
Well said. And with that, we've come to the end of another edition of African Stars Club Legends. But before we say goodbye, we want to send our condolences to the bereaved family of one of Stars legends, Albert Karumbuka here, the man who scored the winning goal in the Davis Finishers Cup final against Black Africa in 1975. May his soul rest in peace. So from all of us here, it's goodbye. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Carlos. So,